It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
Well, it's finally done. Parental Guidance Season 2 has come to a close. We've talked about it ad nauseum on the podcast for the last couple of weeks, and now we have one last conversation that has to be had, and that is with the ultimate star of the show.
I feel like there needs to be some drum rolls.
We have JR for that. I'm really excited for this. Of all the people that we could talk to, I love talking to the parents. I love understanding what's going through their minds. I love the way we've been able to incorporate the show into the podcast. But really, everybody just wants to know what Allison Langdon thinks about the Parental Guidance Season 2. And so just like at the beginning of the season, you interviewed Melissa McLean, the executive producer of the show, and I stayed quiet except when I couldn't help myself. You're in the hot seat again. You're starting to create a bit of a habit of doing high-quality interviews, Mrs. Happy Families. So it's over to you, talking with Allison Langdon, the host of the hit TV show, Parental Guidance, on Channel 9. And I believe, Ali, you also do some other show that I'm not sure if it's as popular as Parental Guidance. How do you feel about that?
What's the name of it again?
It's that flagship
every night
news
at 7.
one.
What's it called? Yeah, Current Affair.
Well, you've stolen my thunder again.
No. See, this is unscripted. I didn't know what you were going to ask. I was trying to be tricky and cheeky.
But Ali, your routine has changed. You've gone from morning TV with the Today Show and now you're doing a current affair. How have your mornings changed at home?
The mornings are a revelation. It is amazing. And can I say, I like my kids in the morning a lot more than I like my kids at night, right? And it's been a big part of the change was thinking, but I'm home every night with the kids. I pick them up from school every afternoon, even though I'm not there in the mornings. And now I just find, you know what? They're delightful in the mornings. They're sweet and they're still cuddly and we have cuddles in bed. I don't even call work till after I've walked them to school. So I sort of my work brain doesn't even kick in till 9 o'clock. And they're up at 5:30 in the morning. So I have this enormous time with them where the TV doesn't go on. There's no technology. It's us as a family and it is wonderful. So good.
That is amazing. Congratulations on Season 2 of Parental Guidance. It must have gone really, really well. I know that it went well, but it must have gone really well for us to have another season under our belt. And I'm wondering if now that we've got a second season, if you have been thinking about your own parenting style and whether or not you see it in other parents or whether or not your parenting styles actually changed as a result of being on the show.
You know what? I would say it changed significantly after the first and during the first season of Parental Guidance. For one, I just got to sit next to your delightful husband every day and pick his brains. And most conversations will start with, I've got this friend who does this. And it's like, Al. Yeah, okay.
This is actually true. This is actually true.
I know. I don't tell lies. And I could tell by his reaction and his face if that was a good parenting hack or not. And
he's not very good at hiding things, is he?
No, not at all. His face doesn't lie. Can't tell a lie, can he? and so it was just wonderful that especially that first season, because my husband and I had never even talked about how we parent. And so I think from that point, it was great that we just had this conversation and we kind of worked out what we do is what we do, but there were really key things that Justin told me, and that was things like, and we had, our kids then were 3 and 5 or 2 and 4. I would do the whole stop, just calm down. And, and I remember Justin saying to me, okay, Ali, so say you're worked up about something and your husband Mike turns and tells you to calm down. Do you calm down? I go, I'd come out in with helicopter arms if he dared to tell me that. And he goes, so why do you think your kids are any different? It's like, now that you say it, it feels really obvious and sounds obvious, but it's all those really little tricks and just getting down on their level when they're having those big emotions as opposed to losing my cool with it, which I previously did. And this season was just great because I think it's branched out with those sort of styles that we saw. And once again, it's one where you go, okay, I see how that one works in that environment and that is perfect for there. you pick up different hacks and bits and pieces that different parenting styles do, and some that probably wouldn't necessarily fit with how I would sit naturally. I learned a lot from the gentle parents and the spiritual parents, and I don't think that's where I sort of naturally sit in my parenting style. It's more kind of free range and sometimes strict. I don't know, it's still all over the shop, right? But
I was about to compliment you for your self-awareness, and then you kind of just went everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's still everywhere, but it's slightly more consistently everywhere.
So there's very little on TV that is actually instructive and, generally useful, practical for parents especially. Do you feel any sense of responsibility to how things come across on the show, or are you just happy to kind of let things flow?
I definitely feel a responsibility. And I think it's something that Justin probably feels as well, because we want to be celebrating parenthood and how everyone parents, and we want to be celebrating the kids because we're all there with the same goal in mind. We want to raise these, wonderful, kind, well-rounded children who go out and do amazing things in the world. So every single person in that room wants the same thing for their kids. And so you feel a great responsibility to ensure that each style is represented fairly, I guess, because there are moments where you have certain challenges where certain styles they shine, and others kind of do fall apart under those particular pressures. But you also know that the next time we get to the next challenge, it's probably going to shift entirely, and it's going to be the other way around. So you really do. You really feel that every single person in that room is doing their very best to be the best parent they can be. And so you want to make sure that is celebrated. Would you agree with that, Justin? I think that was something that was sort of top of our list, really, with this show.
100%. There's something that I know this is Kylie's interview with you, Ali, but I really want to do what I always do and say a bit more than I probably should. I actually want to compliment you. Watching the season back, watching what happened, I mean, because we sit there and the days are long, right? We have these long days in the studio and the conversations are long. We've taken like 6 full days of studio time, 10 hours a day in the studio, and condensed it into these 7 episodes of Parental Guidance. What I saw in you, I'm not quite sure how to put it into words because I wasn't preparing for an interview. It was all Kylie. But as Kylie's asked that question, you've given that answer. I guess I just really wanted to compliment you, Ali. The human way in which you come across, the way that you related to the families, and the way that there were so many times when you looked at me and you were blubbering on the TV about what we'd just seen happen.
That's not true. I never cry. I'm super tough and I'm hard. All right. And don't you go ruining this for me, Justin, all right? I've worked very hard. I've got a rep to protect.
Yeah, I think that you did some serious damage to your reputation.
I think you might have.
Yeah, because it was a really...
Like, we feel it, right?
It was tender. It was tender.
Those moments when you see one of the, and there's a particular challenge in I think it's in the first episode to do with online, and when you see a parent's reaction to something that they've spoken to their kids about, and then you see them do something entirely different and unexpected, and we all feel that.
Yeah.
We all feel for that parent. And, there's not a single person in that room thinking, oh, gee, well, that wouldn't have happened because my parenting style is this. Every one of us just felt for that family, and all of us imagined it was our kids in that scenario. And I look at it, my kids are still little. I mean, they're, getting a little bit older, but a lot of this stuff, I know that this is all the stuff that's coming ahead of me. And, I think you put yourself in it for a lot, and you just feel for everybody when it doesn't go the way they want it to go.
Kylie, did you hear a little bit of fear in Ali's voice as she said that? My kids are getting older, and there was that murmur, wasn't there?
It was like a little bit of fear, guys. I'm like shaking with fear. Well, but that was one of the things that did teach me too. Like I'm fearful of technology. I'm not fearful. I just don't like it, I guess, at the end of the day. And so I think it's that one thing I sort of keep out of our kids' lives as much as possible. But that was one of the things I learned from this show, is that you can't do that. It's here. You can be really responsible in how you use it, and it comes down to Justin's 3 C's. I can't remember what the C's stand for, but I remember.
But they're really
I
good.
love it.
They're really
But
good
I remember
C's,
there are
aren't they?
three.
You sound very intelligent being able to say that you know the 3 C's.
You know that Justin has 3 C's. Ali, I'll send you a copy of my new book, okay? I don't know if you've got The Parenting Revolution yet, but you should have gotten a media copy. But if you don't, I'll get a copy to you because those 3 C's are important. I'm just saying.
What's the one that's bad again? What's the bad C?
The bad C.
I mean, not the bad C, not that bad C. The other bad C.
Oh, are you talking about the screen C's, the 3 C's of screen?
Yeah, the screen C.
Yeah, okay. So I thought you were talking about a different 3 C's.
Well, you're now
many
complicating
C's
things for
have you got?
everybody
I
out
love
there.
alliteration. People remember, I thought people remembered things when they used alliteration, but evidently they don't. They just remember there were 3 C's. So there was, I've just gone blank. How bad is that? People use screens for creation, for connection, and for consumption.
Consumption, that's the bad one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not
I knew there was
always. Not always. You can't tarnish your consumption with it's bad. But let's not go down that avenue because I don't want to.
Stop hijacking
I don't
my
want to send
interview.
Kylie's interview sideways.
We had this really nice moment there just a minute ago, Ali. We're going to go back there because emotions were actually really close to the surface a lot of times on the screen. And I'm guessing that that's probably quite a unique experience for you as a host. I'm wondering how you found having to navigate, I guess, the emotional temperature in the room and whether or not that was particularly draining for you.
I'll admit there wasn't much left in the tank by the end of each day because it is exactly that. And because you want these conversations you want everyone to get their point across and it's television, it's still to be entertaining. So, when there's a bit of fire in the room, it's great, but you still got to manage that and ensure that everyone's being respectful in that. So, I mean, you would have seen there are different times when the parenting style does extraordinarily well and then other times when it's really under pressure. And when that room really challenges that parenting style, it gets heated and you don't want to stop that debate because it's kind of what we're there for. But you've also got to be really mindful of how everyone's reacting to it and how much people can take in regards to that criticism. So I think, Justin and I sort of sitting in those chairs, when everyone's talking, you're reading the rest of the room and you're sort of seeing then how far you can push some of these conversations. And when it's time to sort of, step in and remind everyone that we're humans and to sort of just be mindful of that.
I think one of the strengths of the show is the fact that you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not a portrayal of perfect parenting. And like you acknowledged, in one moment they just shine and in the next moment they crash. And the reality that all of us experience that on a day-to-day basis is just really powerful to watch as a viewer.
Because we all have good days and bad days.
Yeah,
right?
totally. And
we just don't have a camera, a TV crew in our house when it happens.
And again, I think the other powerful thing is being able to watch it happen almost in real time and recognize how we're acting counter to the way we actually believe. And the thing that stands out to me with that one is Deepak, when he talks about how his children are his greatest teachers. And then he does the reverse parking challenge. And in that moment, that high stressful moment, he's kind of going, no, don't trust her. Trust me. Trust my voice. My voice is more important.
And what happened? Crash.
And total failure right then and there. But the fact that these parents were for the most part really humble in the acknowledgement, I actually got that really wrong that time. And that's why I'm here. I want to be better. I want to learn.
That's the nice thing, isn't it? Because I remember when this show started, was it going to be something where all these parents come in and it's this, my way is the best and no other parenting style comes close. And then you're in the room with all these parents and they believe in how they raise their kids, but they're typically open to, what else works and what can we do to be better? Because we all want to be better, right? And I thought in the first season that I was brought in as the bad parent. I've decided second season I'm the perfect parent.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean,
and nobody will ever know, Ellie. Nobody will ever know because there's no film crew following you.
This is why I say it. And you'll never know. You're just going to have to take my word for it. I'm always zen in the house. My children never fight. They always clean up after themselves.
Well, that's what you
They
said.
eat
all their
everything.
vegetables.
That's exactly right.
Mornings are perfect.
Yes.
There were some really, really difficult moments to watch in the show. We had, screen safety. We looked at answering the door to strangers. There was the fire. There were lots of moments that were really quite confronting for parents. What stood out to you as being one of the most challenging experiences?
I actually think it was opening the front door.
Yeah.
And I think
Yes.
because a lot of the conversations we have around our kids with safety is what we do when we're at the park. We talk to them about online. Yet here we are, we have more people coming to our house and deliveries with online shopping and all these days that I don't think we've ever had the discussion with the kids about not opening the door, because I mean, as we learnt, it's just you the moment you crack that door open, it's done. And that scared the hell out of me. That one. So I think that one was probably the most confronting.
And as a result of those experiences, Ellie, as you watched them, did it prompt any conversations that you had at home with your kids?
I do know that with the stranger in the park with puppies, that was one where Mac was watching when he was watching that, and he was going, "Oh, Mum, you never go with strangers, do you?" And I'm sitting on the couch thinking, "Oh, I've had this really great win, and how good a parent am I?" He understands it. He goes, "Unless they've got puppies, then you'd absolutely go, wouldn't you?" It's like, okay, there's a little bit more work to do around this. We have watched it with the kids, and we've had some really important conversations. But I think those conversations have to take place as they're actually seeing it, and they can visualize it, and so. That's a conversation that we've now had about what happens when the doorbell rings and what you do in that moment. I mean, we're currently not leaving the kids at home on their own. I mean, I reckon 6 more months before we do that, right? I mean, you wouldn't leave 6.5, you'll be fine. But no, they're not home on their own. But it is one of those things for down the track they need to be aware of.
Well, Ellie, I could talk to you all day. There are so many more questions that I want to ask you.
Ellie's much nicer to you than she is to me.
Well,
That's true. I think I like you more, Kylie. That is not true. I adore your husband, and when we go to things with doing this show,
don't
he's sitting next to him. I know, telling me to stop talking, stop saying nice things. But I mean, he's a wonderful human being, and he's got a beautiful way with the wisdom and all that he shares and the advice. And that it's never attacking parents, and it's just always so helpful, and he's made me a better parent. So, but now I'm going to say some really mean things about him so he doesn't get a big head.
Great. Give them to me.
You know what I
can't.
Come on, Ellie.
I watched season 2 though, as everyone else has around the country, and Ellie, I feel like I need to be a little bit crankier in season 3. I feel like I just need to be a bit firmer on a few things. Like, you know what? I'm not going to talk about them now. We've talked about it for the last couple of weeks on the podcast, but I think season 3 we might see not heaps, but just I'm going to ratchet it up a couple of levels, and I think the challenges are going to go up a level or 2 as well.
Ooh,
if we're lucky enough to get a season 3.
The darker side of Dr. Justin Coulson.
Anyway,
coming to you season 3.
Well, if I could say one thing to wrap things up, what stands out to me the most is that in every family, there needs to be somebody who is the glue that holds it all together. And you just did such a beautiful job of bringing just structure and definitely control of the room, but warmth. And I loved seeing that. That moment when you took Kat out of the room, I don't think there was a dry eye in all of Australia. And it was just beautiful that you were able to be there and to take that beautifully maternal approach and help her through what was such a challenging moment. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciated the show in general, but just I'm speechless.
Yeah, what Kylie's trying to say is
I'm really speechless.
we love you,
did
Ellie.
Such a great job.
But I mean, in that moment, right? I mean, you were sitting at home and watching it, and all you wanted to do was to give Kat a hug. I mean, I was in the room and I was in a position where I could. That's all I wanted to do in that moment. And that's instinct, right? And you would have done it, Kylie, if you were sitting there and you just to wrap your arms around her and tell her it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it was beautiful to watch. So I can't wait for season 3. Just saying.
Neither, because we get cranky Coulson.
Well, that means you need to be more mellow.
I can do
You
that.
can do
I'll
mellow?
just let him have all the hard conversations. I'll put my feet up. I won't even say a word.
I think that Australia is going to experience a Langdon withdrawal with you only being on our TV screens for half an hour every night at 7:00.
There's been a bit, hasn't there? And it's been very strange going, okay, thank you for watching a current affair. Hang around. There's more me.
One more TV show about me.
Not about me, but a show I am part of. So.
Well, thanks so much for talking to us, Ellie. We just love having you on, and I can't wait to do it again.
I can't either. Thanks, guys.
Allison Langdon, the host of A Current Affair and Parental Guidance Season 2, which has just concluded on your screens on Channel 9. If you want to see the rest of it or catch up on what you haven't seen, you can visit the 9 Now app, download the 9 Now app, I should say, and watch Parental Guidance there. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rowland from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. We loved having you along for the Parental Guidance ride. Hopefully we get to do it again. The Happy Families podcast returns tomorrow with I'll Do Better Tomorrow as we discuss how we can be better parents.